There's so much information that comes to us these days from all angles that it's really overwhelming to be a consumer of information in the digital age. And ironically, being a consumer of information in the digital age is also what makes living and working now as a PR professional so exciting. Because there's so much information grappling for our attention, I think what organizations really have to do in order to capture their audience's attention is to find ways to really make them a part of their community. So engagement becomes about much more than simply whether someone is sharing your content, because it really doesn't take a lot to forward something or to RT or to share something forward. You know, those are low intensity activities that are very, very easy to do. Now, certainly you want people doing that, but more than that, I think you want people starting to really hear your story and start to tell your story for you. So when you bring them into the fold by looking at how you can help them, how what you do provides value to their life, and you are able to communicate that to them, then they start to pay attention. So then, even if they're being bombarded with messages from all over the place, from perhaps competing organizations, other companies that are competing for mind share, if those other organizations are not communicating the value as effectively as you are, then you're already winning. We have so many tools at our disposal these days that it's quite wonderful. It's also quite mind-boggling because we have so many tools we don't know what to do with them. I think one of the temptations of doing PR in the digital space is to do everything and to try and track everything and try and measure everything. But we don't need to do that. We really need to focus on what is most important for us to be looking at. And the only way to do that is if we know what our organization's business goals are. So when we know what the business goals are, then we can start to work backwards from there and really think about what are we doing as business communicators to support those goals. Mm-hmm. Because then we start to be very strategic about our efforts, and we don't just look at anything and everything out there, but we're looking at what are the pieces of our work that really help move people along that line of educate, cultivate, and motivate, to taking those actions that make the most impact for our organization. Because then we can really focus on what works and do more of that, and forget about what doesn't work. Or if there's a reason something's not working, then what do we do to change it up and to make it work? So I think we have to be first very focused about what the business goals are, really understand that. Second, really figure out how our communication work supports those business goals, and only put in place those strategies and tactics that do the job. And then really only measure the key metrics that show us whether or not we are moving towards that goal. There's too much otherwise. And it is not possible to measure everything. It is just not possible. It's humanly impossible. So we may as well just focus on measuring what's most important. And don't worry about the rest. You know, let's be efficient with our time, and let's go and spend a day in the sun, or a day on the beach, or a day with our babies, or our dogs, or our cats, or whatever. Life is meant to be enjoyed.